lurking on her. Ain't show no mercy on her. We was going back to back. We put a curfew on her. It was dark clouds.
Fun fact, first time I ever went out of town with Nipsey was to Seattle. He hit me like, oh, I need you to come with me to Seattle. Me and YG got to show up there. So this was the first city I ever came to with Nip. That was my point.
So after that, it was just kind of like home to you, because you guys kept coming back clearly.
Yeah. He was funny. He was a good energy. So that's what I'm gonna miss the most, is just being able to travel the world with somebody that has that type of energy and is always providing so much motivation.
Solo trying to rebuild. Look, I was riding around in the V12 with the racks in the middle. Had to pray to Almighty God, they let my dog out the kennel. When you get it straight.
Hi guys. So, of course, we are at a dispensary, so you have the right to pull out all the weed that you want, smoke as much as you want. We want for this to definitely be kind of like an open discussion. So we will be able to ask you guys if you have questions, if there's anything you have to say, if you have like, I don't know, even a rebuttal, definitely feel free to raise your hand. We'll hand you the mic, or you can just kind of project enough so where everybody else can hear.
I like Seattle. I fuck with Seattle.
Nipsey said the same thing. There's like a video that went around when they asked him what his favorite city to perform at was, and he said he fucks with Seattle heavy.
Matter of fact, fun fact, first time I ever went out of town with Nipsey was to Seattle. We had a show at the observatory in Orange County, and he hit me the next day. He was like, yo, VIP, what's up? What you doing? I'm like, bro, I'm just getting out of bed, trying to figure this shit out. It was my first time doing a show with him in LA, so we got drunk, we smoked a bunch of weed, we did all that shit, so I wasn't good the next morning. He hit me like, oh, I need you to come with me to Seattle. Me and YG got to show up there. So we ended up doing that, I think, in 2013, like November 2013. So this was the first city I ever came to with Nip. That was my point.
So after that, it was just kind of like home to you, because you guys kept coming back clearly.
Yeah.
Quick question about Seattle. I did hear that Nip was supposed to open up a dispensary out here. Are these facts?
I'm not aware of that. I couldn't get the information on that. But we did, he was coming up here when he was getting the marathon together, the Marathon OG. Okay. So he was coming up here to shop growers at one point. So that very well could have been something that would have happened, but he ended up doing the full operation out of LA.
Oh, okay.
Probably the most ass story, but I love telling it. I started off as a Nipsey fan. Initially, I didn't know who he was, obviously. Like most people, I thought he was just like some rapper from LA that had he's like a pimp or something. Sound like a pimp to me, I don't know. And he ended up putting out the marathon, and I was told to check it out. I didn't really tap into it too early, and I DJ'd a show for him. I was the house DJ at this club called the Dragonfly in Hollywood, and he was the artist who was performing. First time seeing him perform, and everyone was rapping Hustle in the house. I know who he was. I just knew he was an LA-based rapper. So I'm like, well, shit, if I'm in LA, I need to tap in. I need to figure out what this is about. So I went ahead and, good looking, bro.
Delivery.
So then I went ahead and checked out the marathon, and I instantly became a fan. I don't come from gangbanging. My parents are still together. I come from a suburb up in the Bay Area, but I still was able to relate to the music in a way that I was able to use that message for motivation to do what I did, which eventually led to me becoming this DJ. You know, I took his words and his guidance, and I just applied that to my situation, and became all money in after, a couple years of just trying to put money in his pocket, getting him booked at different clubs. He gave me this record called Don't Forget Us right before Crenshaw came out. It was initially supposed to be Victory Lap. I don't know if you guys know, but he announced Victory Lap in 2012. December of 2012, he did an interview with, I think, All Hip Hop or somebody, Hot New Hip Hop, and it was supposed to drop, but then out of nowhere, he came with Crenshaw. Victory Lap was going to be that third installment of the Marathon series. So he dropped Crenshaw, the mixtape came out, it was a very abrupt drop. He did the rollout really quick, but during that time, I was building with him, already booking him and stuff, so I asked him like, yo, I can't get this interview because this project is coming out so speedy, or I guess Tia would say, what, expeditiously? it just came out of nowhere, so I'm like, I need something. He gave me Don't Forget Us. It's a record with him and Dom Kennedy. I put that out. It, went crazy because it was the first Nipsey release in a couple years. It had Dom on it, and it was the day before Crenshaw came out. So that gave me a lot of leverage with him. So I just straight up asked him like, yo, you know, you got this Crenshaw tour coming up. You need a DJ. I got my passport on deck. I can move. What's up? And he talked to everyone on the team, and everyone gave me the green light. So pulled up on him for the House of Blues show. And next thing you know, I was on tour with him for Crenshaw tour. That was 2014. We did like 33 cities, all self-financed. We had to figure out how to tour. It was his first time going out on an independent tour, but that's where a lot of character was built, and that's where the circle shed a lot of dead weight after that tour. But that's kind of extended story how I met bro.
You were ready. You were prepared.
Clearly, but you have to be ready.
But so many people, they do that. They want to put themselves in these positions.
Yeah.
They want to be down, and then they're not prepared.
They drop the ball when the opportunity is given to them.
Yep.
It's kind of trash, but.
Okay. Lighter, please.
Question. So we've all heard that he had a very particular way of performing, recording, etc. How would you guys actually collab during rehearsals?
Well, the time that we did have to rehearse was very limited because he had a very busy schedule. He wasn't just an artist. He was, you know, a philanthropist, a businessman, a father, a husband. Like, he was all these things that, you know, most artists, they only excel in one of those fields, and they lack in a lot of the other ones. He did all this stuff. So when he had something going on, whether it was rehearsal, recording session, for the most part, as we started to graduate to this higher level, he became more punctual. Early on, he was not punctual, but at the same time, he didn't have as many priorities, so he's kind of loose with his time. But he's always been very militant about everything. From when we go out of town to when we have rehearsals, we have set times, we have certain tasks to do. We have to do them within that time and make sure that we can execute them like that all the time. So our rehearsals were very tedious, especially when we brought the band in. That's when we started to break down every section bar by bar to isolate certain instruments, or like to really figure out how we wanted to build the show out, because we weren't just doing 2-track shows at that point. We had a live band with guitar, bass player, keyboardist, and drummer. So we had to isolate some of those sounds, pull them out. Just there's a whole bunch of stuff that we had to do. So the actual rehearsals were very tedious. He's like a composer. If you ever sat in on any of the sessions, which eventually you'll start to see all these documentaries come out. I have a lot of behind the scenes footage, as well as our band members, our video guy, just everyone. We always knew what he was going to represent. So me, I was always heavy on capturing footage wherever I went. I knew that it was going to be history, so I had GoPros going, phones out. I was always trying to capture shit. You could tell that he was a little uneasy about it because he's so particular about how he moves and from what he comes from. Like, you know, you don't want to have cameras in your face all the time. But eventually he knew that I wasn't one of those people that was like this, always putting out shit or like this. So, and even then, whatever we put out, it's obviously going to go through the team, and everything's going to be approved just to make sure that his light and his name and his legacy is reflected in the way that the family wants.
He was a man of many gems, and we've been seeing them all over the internet. What is one of the biggest lessons you've taken away from your relationship with him?
I would say the way he moves. He, obviously what happened on the 31st was unlike how he usually moves. He's usually very militant. Everybody knows where is he going, what's the purpose of where he's going. He has protection and he's good. So that was just out the ordinary. So that's something that has always stuck with me, but even furthermore, it's gonna like really stick with me just because he preached that, he practiced that, and the one moment he wasn't in that space, something happened. So that's always going to keep me on point.
So basically moving with a purpose.
Yeah, just not going out for nothing. Like, I low-key became a homebody because of it, because my house has a studio in it. Like, if I don't need to go out and do something, I'm just not going to go out, because I always find myself either getting in some bullshit car accident or running into some weirdo, or like there's always something that happens when I step out when I don't need to be out. So stepping out with a purpose.
Doing something, whether it was, oh, you do clothing, oh, you do like producing. What would you say you learned, or if anything you just noticed about properly picking out who to collaborate with? Because not everybody should do things together.
Yeah, one thing I noticed with Nip is you had to earn his trust And with most people, I feel like over time, if people aren't trustworthy, that's gonna show. They're gonna do some Mickey shit. They're gonna do something that's like, your character is off. Like, you know, I don't need you around me because whether you're just doing weird shit or just your energy's off, like there's something that's gonna throw my equilibrium off balance. So he was good at giving people time to show their true colors, and over that time, he'd be able to distinguish whether he wanted to work with you or not, and whether that was on a personal level and him just giving you his time, or him, you know, partnering up with you. He wanted to make sure that your values, your morals, and the way you moved aligned with what he agreed with.
Speaking of collabs, which one of the collabs on Victory Lap, which was one of your favorites?
Dedication was dope just because, you know, Kendrick and what he represents for the West. I had seen the various levels that record had went through. Right Hand of God was probably my very favorite project or record on the project, although that wasn't necessarily a collaboration. Yeah. With the number of producers that came together to make it, it was definitely a collaboration on that front because it had went through at least like 5 or 6 different levels of where you couldn't even tell it's the same vocals, but like the bass line's the same here. This version didn't have the horns on. The horns was like one of the last things that got put on the hook, and that's what like sealed up the record. That's when they're like, all right, we're using this version with these horns, and that's that. And that's where I would come in and I would make these things called service packs, and it's basically like digital versions of the record. Before, back in the day, records used to be pressed on vinyl, and there'd be white labels at the record store when we go pick up our music. And those would be given away by the labels, and they would have the clean, dirty, instrumental acapella, and it would be how they would promo, the label would promo these new records. So now the medium's changed, now everything's digital. DJs pick up their music from record pools. So what I did was like, look bro, you don't have a presence on these record pools, so DJs don't even have the opportunity to spin your music. So when I came to that first meeting regarding the Crenshaw tour, the first date, I came with this laundry list of stuff that I thought we needed to attack, and that was one of the things is we need to start getting DJs more incorporated. So we started to do more radio drops when we went to different cities and did spot, you know, freelance, sit in with them, see where they catch the vibe. So I'm just going through and really trying to build the sonics of the project so it sounds like a cohesive project and not like a body of a bunch of DJ singles.
If somebody wanted to reach out to you and do a record with you, what would be like the proper protocol rather than just shooting you a link in your DM? Or would that work?
I mean, that'll work. I'm in the process of, I have a pending deal with a DJ agency. I had Marathon Agency, which was Nip's management company and PR company doing a lot of my stuff, but right now, with everything going on, I don't really want to ask the team to do too much stuff, so I've been handling a lot of my own business as well as passing it off to you know, people that I see fit, and I'm, like I said, in the works of partnering with the DJ agency that specializes in DJ booking so I could go out of town and get more club events. And before I was really heavy in the tour circuit, I wasn't too happy about doing the clubs just because it was always the same people, drunk, always some bullshit. You know,
can you play this?
Yeah, can you play this? Or, you know, promoters always on that bullshit, so it's like, it just wasn't my thing. So now that I have this demand and I have this leverage, I'm actually gonna start getting what I want. I figured I might as well put an agency at the forefront to take care of all the business.
With you guys having gone on so many tours, do you have any crazy tour stories or like a story that you can share with us?
Yeah,
one time, fun experience.
One time we were going to Vegas, and there was just, it's when everyone was sipping lean and shit. We had these sodas, and J Rock, the bodyguard, BH, JP, Nip, myself, we was in this car. We started messing with each other, and next thing you know, there's just soda everywhere. Like, these are big, gulp, big ass 32-ounce things of soda being thrown at each other. Ice, water, rental car, looked like a tie-dye, like the roof was a lighter colored roof. It just had every color you could think of on the roof. On the way to Vegas, damn near on the wrong side of the road, about to crash, swerving, but we was having a good time. Luckily, we didn't hurt nobody on the show.
It was fun. Everybody was good. All
great.
What do you mean?
That's one thing about Nip most people wouldn't know is he was goofy. Like, bro was funny as fuck. He was just like such a good energy. Everyone would always see the militant 6-0 West Side neighborhood Crip Nip. What we really see in Ermias, the dude that you could see at all the services, people talking about the person they love, people who really knew him. He was funny, he was a good energy. So that's what I'm gonna miss the most, is just being able to travel the world with somebody that has that type of energy and is always providing so much motivation in places where we're like even more motivated. You know, he's just giving motivation on top of motivation. No one will ever be able to do that. So that's what's been the hardest part to cope with, is like, I know I'll never be able to find that again. I'm already defeated in that sense.
As an outsider, I actually just went there over the weekend, and like the first place we pulled up was the store. All on the radio, they're playing Nipsey. Everywhere, every corner you turn, because LA, there's like so much street art. Every corner you turn, there's a mural for him. So his energy is there. He's all over, and like you said, it's light. It's positive. You can feel him there. It was great.
What was it like the first night? Like that first night, what was that feeling? I heard it was tense down there.
I wasn't in the city. I was out of town when it happened. So I was in Charlotte just working on some independent work. And I wasn't in the city. So I got back first thing the next morning and had to make I didn't have to. I was asked to make a tribute mix for Sirius XM, Shade 45, DJ Enough from, I think he was Hot 97 as well, reached out to me and he wanted me to do a tribute mix. So they gave me a quick 20 minutes. As soon as I touched down, I walked in my living room, luggage following me in. I don't know if y'all seen that, but I got some falling luggage. Shit's crazy. Luggage followed me in and left that shit right there, went straight to the studio and started tracking for 2 hours. And that was the hardest thing for me, because I'm listening to these interviews from him. I'm watching these, what I guess you'd call home videos or whatever, of us on the road and listening to these songs that I have very vivid memories of them being recorded, of us performing them, of everything that comes with the hundreds of times that I've played these songs with him, next to him. So recording that mix was hard, but I ended up getting it done, sending it out, went to the Marathon store that next night, the night of that stampede happened. So yeah, initially I wasn't in the city, but it was hard, obviously, once it first happened, just trying to figure out what to do. My motivation was he would always give me these like little projects, these little edits last minute. We would be on the road and you'll see pictures on shit of me just on the computer with him, whether it's in a car, in the hotel, down near backstage, in the green room. He was always like, hey bro, I need you to take this person out of this, or oh, this person's coming out. So he would just give me shit last minute, knowing I could get it done. And he did it with the team all the time because we would get shit done. We just felt the pressure of having to get stuff done, so we never missed a deadline, even if deadlines were given to us, you know, or shit was given to us after the deadline. The first couple hours, I was in disbelief because for the longest, I just thought that he was untouchable. I thought that he had got past that point where people in his own city were not fucking with him like that, especially the way he was pulling up at the shop. It was just, he was giving everyone opportunity there. There was no reason for anyone from there to do that, but you know, it is what it is, so.
Does anyone else have questions?
Hi, I'm Evie. So my question is, you know, we all know Nip to be a self-starter, someone that promoted ownership and you know, and being independent. How do you think the music industry is gonna shift as far as like the attention on him and the spotlight on him to have like up-and-coming artists to be more slated for ownership and maybe staying independent? Like, how do you think that's gonna shift?
I think a lot of artists are already focusing on signing to or being a part of like major indie labels or labels that are partnering with majors. So I think that like dynamic has already happened. I think it's just gonna furthermore instill like, if you do this and something happens to you, or if something doesn't happen to you later down the line, your family is gonna be set up, versus some people who don't have those situations set up. Once they go, there's nothing for nobody. So I think his positive example is gonna lead people to want to continue doing what he's been doing.
How would you describe Nip's movement?
Like I
What
said,
he represented.
it's that movement. I thought you meant his physical movement.
Oh, no. Pardon me.
I think it just represents, the marathon just represents longevity. There's a lot of people that are always just doing stuff for the quick lick, the quick come up, but they're not thinking about how many bridges they're going to burn down the line. So I think if you look at the marathon and just everything he rolled out, he had a long-term plan and he stuck to it. So I think just picking something, whether it's, you know, clothing or music or going to school, you got to understand that being great at something takes time. You can't quit just because you don't get the results you're looking for instantly. So you just got to keep going. I think in that one interview, he said the one distinguishing trait that put me where I'm today is I never quit. Because there's, you know, how many situations where from gangbanging to music, anybody else would have said fuck it. But he didn't, he just didn't quit.
I'm Gabby. I'm not sure if y'all touched on this already, but you know, the hype about Nipsey is our modern day Tupac. Like, what is your take on that? Like, how do you feel Nip is in comparison to Tupac?
Well, when Tupac passed away, I was only 8 years old, so I can't really give a totally fair assessment of Tupac because I wasn't there to witness his whole movement. But I had always said that I felt like he was like Tupac of our generation, especially for the West Coast, because he was so influential, more so because he had a message and his music was timeless. I don't think he was doing stuff like for radio. He wasn't necessarily doing stuff for the club. He just wanted to tell people about where he came from and how he's trying to elevate from it. And he literally laid out the blueprint of how other people could do the same. So,
because I mean, no shade, but LA has had that happen before. So where they're like, let's all come together, and then within like 6 months' time, it's back to madness. Do you think that this is going to have a more lasting impression and people will actually for real come together, respect his legacy, respect all of the, you know, gems that he left for not only the city but the world?
I would like to think so, but the problems are deeper than LA, or just him. The problems in LA and the world are deeper than just him. So I would like to think it's gonna stick, but like you said, we've been down this road before, so only time will tell.
So as far as like Nipsey as an artist, did he work, like, I know he had like a team, but did he work with a variety of people, or did he just stick with his team as far as like producers and like studios and things like that?
For the last couple years, he was working with Mike and Keys. They produced a lot of No Pressure, as well as Slauson Boy 2 and Victory Lap, obviously. But prior to that, he was just getting beats left and right. Adam from the label had a Gmail, I think it was like Beats for Nip or something. And people would just send beats. If you go look at the projects, they all have, it's just a laundry list of producers. It's not until Slauson Boy 2 where you kind of see Axel Foley. He did produce Good Kid, Mad City, Kendrick song. He did a lot of production. Slauson Boy 2 went on. Obviously 1500 or Nothing was heavily involved, like around the Crenshaw days. That's when he kind of started to tap into regular production with Mars, James Fauntleroy. He worked with Wizzo for a minute. He did some various songs on Crenshaw. I would say it wasn't until like Slauson Boy 2 that he started to kind of lock together his team. And then that's when he had got one of the studios that got built out in Burbank. That was the one that ended up getting one of the ones that got raided after he got arrested for having some lien like on the seat of his car or something. So then the owner didn't want to re-rent the building to him, didn't want to lease it to him again after that happened. So that's when that studio got wiped down, and that's what delayed the rollout of Victory Lap, because that was right in the middle of that recording. So he ended up getting over to Paramount, and that's where he finished up and mixed a lot of the album. From there, he made his way to the spot where the studio is at now, and what's crazy is the day after he passed away, he spent about $50K on some new studio speakers, that like some custom speakers for the wall. Just bought like a $100,000 SSL board, and the studio had just got finished and like tied in the day after he passed away. That's when the speakers came in. I don't know if you guys are watching the service, but he was talking to his mom about how he's excited to get back to work, and the studio was up. Like literally that next day was the day that he was supposed to start working on new music after the music that's supposed to come out next for the next project.
I want to ask, I know he was really heavy into books. Are there any books that he recommended to you that you really enjoyed?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, the first one that caught my eye was the first one that he recommended to me, because now reflecting back on it, it goes to show how he did everything he did. It was Contagious. That's the book where this guy in the East Coast, he does a $100 Philly cheesesteak, and it has like super gourmet like stuff from the farmers markets and like all top tier ingredients. You know, fine artisan, comes with a glass of champagne. That's where he got the idea to roll out Crenshaw. So the idea for that book is social currency. There's a value in creating conversation. So I look at everything he did, and he was always trying to do something different. He was always trying to create conversation because he knew that there was monetary value in that. So you go look at how he did everything from the smart store to the $100 project to the $1,000 project to the partnership. Like, he was always doing something that created conversation. And while that was happening, he always had a product to deliver so that he could leverage that conversation monetarily.
That is insane, because I remember during the rollout of the Crenshaw mixtape, he talked about that during an interview, and then I picked that book up and read that too. That I forgot.
So like, I know for myself, like listening to Nip about the different things that he's invested in. One of those things was cryptocurrency. That's one of the reasons why I invested. Did he impart that on the team, and is that something that everyone else is on that's around him with the cryptocurrency?
I wouldn't say everyone, just because some people weren't even like tech savvy enough to understand blockchain and how all that stuff worked. But I definitely tapped into it. I'm sitting on like 200,000 follow coin right now, so I know it's a utility coin. I invested in a ton of crypto before, so I still have a lot of it. I just let it sit. I was actively trading at one point, and I was making cool money because I had a few homies that were into it, and their friends did like Forex and a few other things, so they were good at reading graphs and shit. And they would just tell me like, yo, go swag this, and I'll just go grab a shit ton of it, and next thing you know, just it would go up, and I just re-up on and sell it, get a bunch of Bitcoin when it was low, and it was like doubling up, because then when Bitcoin bounced up, like they taught me some game. I was making some cool money in the crypto shit. So that was something I got from bro. That we don't talk to no more. We don't fuck with them.
Period. Spicy.
But yeah, we was talking about that shit earlier actually. But no, everything's cool. We met each other through an artist out here, and then he started booking Nipsey. What was the first show we did?
YG.
Oh yeah, the YG show. That was the first time. Was it you and Black?
Black, Reed, the other people involved, and then it was Neptune.
Oh yeah.
And it was Showbox, Showbox.
Yeah, we did a gang of Showbox shows. He was supposed, and I feel bad for bro, because he was supposed to have the Victory Lap show. He booked us every time we came out here, but when it came down to it, everything got done through the label, so everything went through the Live Nation venues, which happened to be Showbox, so they ended up getting a contract over bro. That was supposed to be bro's event. He was mad. I felt so bad because it was completely over my head. There's nothing I could do about it, and it was what it was. He still, was rocking and shit. So it's all love. But I met TJ Taj out here through the music scene, and we built up, and we were working with Huey P. Still working with bro. Put out a project with him. Did You Get the Message? It was his first EP. In my opinion, it's probably one of his dopest bodies of timeless work. If you haven't heard it, go tap in. It's a dope ass project. Then he went ahead and did a project with Drama 206-253. Has some dope singles on that. Now I'm gonna be working with J Loud, Taj King Entertainment. So we're still out here actively doing shit. Doesn't stop. I was actively trying to get Huey a record with Nip. Nip was well aware of my work with Huey and heard the work we've done. He knew I was tapping in. I was out here in the city. He knew that Seattle fucked with us. So yeah, I'm still gonna be out here real heavy, just like I was otherwise. Yeah, I got a new record I'm dropping with J Loud tonight too. It's some fire. Gorillas in the Trunk. That's not the name, but you'll know what it is. When the shit comes on, you know what I'm talking about.
Especially DJ V.I.P. I want to thank my sponsor, Touch King Entertainment, for helping us get the spot.
Guy.
We want to thank Clutch for letting us be here. Otherwise, if you have any trash, please clean up beside yourself because we are not animals. And enjoy the weed session. Look, we are in Seattle. We don't grow that much around here, all right?
Don't get enough sun.